Hey, Facebook family. How are you all doing? Happy Tuesday. Hope you are having an amazing time. I know we're a little late, but it's okay. I want to, we were in our inner circle, just diving into all the content, enjoying our special guest for today. So we're going to let y'all eavesdrop in on this good conversation. I'm so excited to have my special guest. If you are joining us, you know what today is. It's our special podcast with Mona Gray of Clear the Gray Coaching, and she is backstage just smiling, waiting to be brought to the front. So if you are watching and you have not shared yet, I'm going to ask you to do that. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and hit that like button. And we're going to jump right into this conversation that we've been having on boundaries, how to set boundaries with loving grace. What do those boundaries look like? So I am going to bring her up on the screen so you all can see her beautiful face. Hey. So I want you all to hit that like button to let us know that you're happy that she is here. All the information that she's going to be imparting on tonight. I'm so happy and so geeked to have her here. So let me see. I'm going to try to be a little fancy here. Hold up. Let's see if I can find some claps or some applause or something. There we go. I just had to have something out there just to say how excited we are to have her here, and excited to have you all on with us as well. So I was telling all of the members in our inner circle community that I met Mona during the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center's Milestone Circles program. We were circle sisters, and now we are sisters for life. She is a pleasure and a joy to know, and she has a wealth of information with her life coaching company, Clear the Gray Coaching. And at the end, we're going to give her time to tell you how you can get connected with her, how you can hire her as a coach that you may be needing. Because if you haven't struggled, like most of us have struggled with boundaries, I have a few struggles with boundaries. And so she's going to talk to us about all things setting boundaries, what that looks like. And so I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm just going to go ahead and bring her up. And we've been talking behind the scenes. But Mona, while we're jumping here on Facebook, they haven't heard any of our conversation. If you can just give us just a little bit of information on boundaries. What are boundaries? What does that look like? The other B word, and how can we set them appropriately?
Yes. So the essence of boundaries, if you will, boundaries, they're not walls, but they are like gates and fences, right? They allow us to respect our needs, or they allow other people to respect our needs, while honoring our freedom, right? To others.
Yes.
They enable us to say no. Remember, no is a complete sentence, exclamation point or period.
Yes.
Um, and with the same peace and clarity that we would say yes. It's no doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It could be no, not right now, or just no. I mean, we as Christians, we know that no, if our Father tells us no, that's actually probably for our good, right? So
Yes.
that's a positive no, right? And we need to be just as comfortable saying no as we are saying yes, right? And so saying it with love, though, is a little, it takes a little practice, right? Because setting boundary with love means recognizing that our value, and the value of others is very important, right? It's about communicating our needs to um, someone that we love, or even like really someone that we don't know who may be trying to be a little disrespectful. It's us setting limits in a way that is clear, concise, direct, if you will,
Hmm.
and kind, right? So for example, telling a loved one, Cheryl, I value our time together, but I need some moments to recharge. For me, and this is really for me. That's something that I need every day.
Right.
I am people laugh at me because when I'm home, my house is absolutely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't turn the TV on. I have animals, but you don't hear them because they
Mm-hmm.
just as quiet, you know? Um, the only thing you heard when we logged in was my water fountain. And that's because when I get off work, I need to come home and I need to recharge.
Right.
A lot of people, some people don't understand that. They want to talk, 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 talk. I don't have that. I don't have that talking gene like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I have to say, you know what? I love you, Cheryl,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to recharge.
Right.
If you
Right.
allow me to recharge, then when we talk, we'll have such a better conversation, right?
Right.
I said that with love. It wasn't hard at all. You know, it wasn't um I didn't say it in a mean way, even though someone could take offense to it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I don't want to talk to you right now. I just need to recharge because I'm a little tired, you
Right.
know? Setting boundary with grace, that comes into play when we set boundaries without guilt or aggression,
Okay. Okay.
right? Um, no. Well, that's hurtful.
Right.
That seems a little
That's a
aggressive,
little
you
much.
know? That's a lot of much, you know. But it's really about holding your standing your ground, holding your ground, and understanding that while we can't control other people's reactions,
Right.
we hope that we're giving them the grace to let them know, listen, I'm in control of my life. I love you. I'm actually giving you grace because I don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
but I love you enough to say, this is what bothers me. Hopefully that you can respect that.
Right.
So by setting boundaries, we really it's a really big impact because with love and
Yeah.
grace, we just want others to respect our wishes. And if they can't respect our wishes, then we may have to decide on what to do with that relationship further.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who, let's say, maybe they're fearful of how the person that they're going to approach, how they will receive them? They've never set boundaries before. They have been the people pleaser, and they've just done it just because they didn't want, or they feared confrontation, and so they didn't want to. They think that they may be risking a relationship by setting boundaries. What advice would you give to a person that this may be their first time trying to set boundaries?
Practice on yourself first.
Oh, wow. I like that. Unpack
Practice on
that. Tell
yourself.
us how that works.
Yeah. So there are things that I like.
Mm
There are things that I know they're harmful for me,
hmm. Mm
right? Some things I'm just not disciplined enough.
hmm.
Let's call a spade, right? There are
Yes.
certain foods that I love, right? And I have to set boundaries with myself saying, no, you're not going to have that today. The
Okay.
hardest person to set a boundary with is yourself.
Okay.
But you also need to show yourself some love and some grace. You
Okay.
have to be gentle with yourself. You have to be kind with yourself. You can't set a boundary with anyone else until you've learned how to do it with your own self.
Wow. That's
And
powerful.
I think the more you practice that,
Mm
the better the better you become. Because if you can tell you no,
hmm. Mm hmm.
and you're your hardest critic, you're
Yes.
your worst critic,
Yes.
you you will beat up on yourself every single day. We are the only people that can beat up on our own selves. You know,
Absolutely.
but if you practice that, whether it's
Mm
put a sticky on the wall, and first of all, say how much you love yourself. You know
hmm.
what? I
Right.
am fabulous. I love myself today.
Mm hmm.
But I also know that if I drink, I'm a diabetic, right? I'm a
Mm
type 1. And if I drink too much sugary drinks,
hmm.
then
Right.
I'm going to feel upset. I'm going to get a headache. My blood
Mm
sugar
hmm.
is going to be out of control.
Right.
So, Mona, you can drink that juice, but how does it
Mm
make
hmm.
you feel?
Right.
So, when we're setting boundary with other people, we have to recognize how does it make us feel when we don't set a boundary, when we're upset with someone, when they make us upset, when we do something that we don't want to do. How does that make you feel? And what can you do to make yourself feel better?
Okay.
We don't necessarily want to. I'm sorry.
No, I love that. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, um, we're not meant to be in this world by ourselves. I
Right.
remember growing up, that's one thing I would always say. I'm okay being by myself. I'm an only child. This is what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to be in my 40s and I was literally alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, whoa, I do need people.
Yes. So there's a
I
reason
do
there are
need
other people here.
exactly. But at the same time, the reason I was by myself was because I cut so many people off instead of just setting boundaries with them.
Okay. Okay.
You can have a relationship with someone if they respect your boundaries.
Right. Right.
If
Right.
they don't respect your boundaries, then you might need to consider, is this person a really, really good asset to my life?
Right. Well, how do you, especially for somebody that's new at setting boundaries, how do you set boundaries without feeling guilty about it, or feeling like you're asking too much just to do that? How do we broach that guilt thing that we may feel when we set boundaries?
Oh, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to
Okay.
feel guilty, especially if you're a people pleaser.
Right.
You're going
Right.
to feel guilty. You're going to feel ashamed. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
feel like they may not like me after this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural feeling. You're going
Okay.
to feel that.
Okay.
But you have to weigh what is worse. Looking at the
Okay.
scale, me
Okay.
hurting and crying and being upset and not feeling well,
Mm-hmm.
or talking to this individual because I really cherish their relationship and I want them to know how it makes me feel. And if
Right.
love me the way that they say they love me, then they will understand me setting those boundaries.
Okay. Okay. And when you're talking about that, what when it seems like communication would play a big role in that, or how much, I guess you have to be a good communicator to be able to do that, or be working on communication. How does
Mhm.
that factor in being able to set boundaries? What role does communication play in that?
Well, it plays a very, very big role. I can't tell you how I feel if I can't communicate how I feel.
Right.
I can't tell you, Cheryl, I am upset that we are on this podcast talking to all these people. It
Mm-hmm.
really hurts my feelings. And they're
Right.
just like, why? Why does it hurt your feelings? It's just a bunch of
Mm.
people.
Right.
Well, it hurts. You know what? Never mind. I'm okay. No,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me, communicate
Right.
with me. There are a lot of people who can't communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
They shut down. It's funny because I used to always say when talking to a man, I love you, men, but talking to a man, you gotta say what you gotta say in the first 10 minutes, or
Okay.
they don't tune you out after those 10 minutes.
Right.
Okay. But prayerfully, you end up with someone, or prayerfully, you're communicating with someone, whether it's a boss, whether it's, someone in your church, whether it's someone at school, a cousin, a brother, an uncle, a sister, an aunt, a cousin. Hopefully, you're speaking with someone that actually cares enough about you, because we have individuals out here who they try to use us. They don't want
Right.
anything to really do with us. They only want to take and not give. That's when you realize, you know what, it's time for me to let go.
Okay.
You set those boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And even as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the ways we can set boundaries, how we can approach difficult conversations with people that we need to set boundaries. Um, what's in the back of my mind is a lot of self awareness has to take place before you can even think about setting appropriate boundaries. I have to know myself a whole lot before I can even set really good, clear boundaries that are going to protect me, protect friendships, protect relationships. How well do you think a person needs to know themselves before they can adequately set boundaries?
Very well. You're the only person that knows what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You're the person that knows what you need. You know how much you need, just like the love languages, right?
Right.
You know how much quality time you need. You know how much acts of service you need, right? Because
Right.
you know if I don't get quality time, I don't feel loved. Or
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not giving quality time, then I don't really love you
Right.
because those are my love languages, right?
Right. Right.
One of the things that you have to, whatever the boundary is that needs to be set,
Mm-hmm.
before you can set those boundaries with yourself or with anyone else, you have to forgive you.
Okay. Okay.
I would say forgiveness is one of the biggest staples
Okay.
in setting boundaries, depending on what it is, right?
Right.
And that's because forgiveness, it is very challenging to forgive, right? And remember I
Mhm.
said setting boundaries with yourself is one of the hardest things to do.
Yes.
Forgiving is another very hard thing to do.
Right.
And we have to realize I am worth it
Mm-hmm.
and I am worthy. So
Yes.
therefore, let me forgive myself for even allowing people to walk over me, cut me off when I'm talking, be
Mhm.
disrespectful to me. Because that really shows, that's a testament to me. How I treat me is how
Right.
other people are going to treat me as well. So
Right.
Mona, please forgive me for neglecting you, not
Mm-hmm.
taking the time out to give you what you need, not allowing you to recharge. And now that I've forgiven myself on those things, now it's time to make sure that other people, I forgive you, Cheryl, for, you know, not understanding what I need. But guess what? That was my fault because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't communicate that well with you.
Okay.
But I love you
Yeah.
and I cherish our relationship. And I'm hoping that we can still build our sisterhood. But I just need you to understand that sometimes, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And what is I guess really resonating with me is I didn't really realize how much self-awareness a person needs to be able to really set clear boundaries with themselves first, that would be the first place that they would need to be setting boundaries before they could even think about setting boundaries with other people. So for me, that was an eye opener. And so I'm hoping it's clicking for y'all too that are watching, that we have to be kind of introspective when we think about setting boundaries. And something that you mentioned when we were in the inner circle talking about loving yourself enough to that it comes from loving yourself first before you can speak love and grace or set boundaries with love and grace. You have to have lovingly set boundaries with yourself. And so I think that is, it was such an eye opener for me. And so I hope y'all are grabbing this and understanding this so that we can, as a community of believers, not throw people away the first time. Maybe,
Right.
okay, I'm just teasing, but not throw people away, but seek to create an environment where we both can thrive, but we can also respect each other and deal with each other. The Bible says that we need to deal with each other according to wisdom. So when you tell me that I've crossed a boundary, then I know, okay, going forward, I need to shift and change my behavior so that I am loving you well, and not like
Mhm.
I want to be loved, but how you need to be loved, and what that looks like for you. So that's a game changer for me. And even when people are coming to me, setting boundaries, knowing how to receive them. And that's something I guess we didn't really talk about. How do you receive it when someone comes to you and say, I'm setting boundaries? How does that work?
It's hurtful. I mean, that's hurtful. I remember my youngest daughter, right? She
Hmm.
is the queen of trying to set boundaries. Like I taught that girl well, so well that she was using it against me. So, um, back in the day, you don't own no door, you own no rooms in this house. So you do not shut my doors, right? Or
Right.
I will take the hinges off these doors, right? And
Yes.
I'm not knocking, I'm just walking in your room. Well, it got
Hmm.
to a point where she's like, Mom, I am, I think it was like 16 or 17. She's like, Mom, I'm six, this is 16. I'm 16 years old. Do you think that you can knock on my door? I may be in here with no clothes on. I
Hmm.
may be trying to find something to wear and you just busted in my room and I literally have no clothes on. And I'm like,
Right.
this is my house. I'm the one who pays the mortgage here. You don't pay no. But then I had to sit back and say, you know what? She's absolutely right.
Hmm.
I have to respect her boundaries. She's not saying it rude. I
Hmm.
just didn't like the fact that somebody was trying to tell me, no,
Right.
my child was trying to tell me, Mom, I love you, but I need you to respect my space.
Right.
Because guess what? I want her to respect my space.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want somebody to respect my space. And the fact that she's learning how to set those boundaries now, she's gonna be
Right.
able to carry that her for the rest of her, for the rest of her life. Where
Yeah.
I learned late, but
Hmm.
better late than never.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're teaching her really good people skills, like you said, that'll carry her throughout her life, and she'll be able to speak up for herself. Because if she can speak up to her mother, she can speak up to anybody. And
Pretty
so you
much.
won't have to worry about that. One last question before we jump off, and I want to know what's one final piece of advice or wisdom that you would give to someone about setting boundaries with love and grace.
Fear is not something that God has given us. He has not given us the spirit of fear. A lot of people are afraid to set boundaries, once again, because they think they're going to lose a relationship. They think that someone's going to be mad at them, someone's going to hate them. If you have somebody that does not respect your boundaries, if you have someone that is disrespectful to you because you're setting boundaries, you need to not be fearful and realize that this person just may not, that person's season is up. This
Right.
individual season is up. Take fear out of the game, which is hard to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. We sit here and we say God didn't give us the spirit of fear, and let a roach walk across this floor. I'm gonna be afraid.
You know
Like
it.
I'm
Out.
trying to tell you, you know. But I can tell you in a minute. I ain't afraid of you. But let one of them little four-legged creatures walk past my floor. I'm gonna panic. But love yourself enough to say, this
Okay.
is what I deserve. I deserve respect. I deserve you to love me in a way that I want to be loved.
All right. And
Take
I'm
the fear
looking
out
to
of it. Love yourself and forgive yourself.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking to the side because there was some of our inner circle members. One of them has a question in the chat, and so I want to ask
Yeah,
that question before we jump off. And it says, when
absolutely.
attempting to start the journey of setting boundaries, do you find that you lose family, friends before they get it? And does it ever get easy?
So it yes and yes. Quick
Okay.
example. I had to set a boundary with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have a very good relationship with my mom. I was young when she gave me up. She didn't give me up for adoption, but she gave me to my grandmother who was an alcoholic. I was
Right.
in a very, very abusive relationship, right? With my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother. Every day I came home from school, my grandmother was drunk and I was abused.
Mm-hmm.
I loved my grandmother and I knew she loved me. Even as a child, I knew that there was some illness there.
Right.
Years later, my mom came back to get me
Mm-hmm.
and I hated her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so upset with her because you left me to be abused all these years. I couldn't respect her,
Right.
I- nothing, right? So there were times where she would continuously hurt me. And as a child, I would say, I know the Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father, right?
Right.
And even though I wasn't raised up in church, I knew that because I didn't want my days to be short. I thought me respecting my mom was not talking to her. When I graduated from high school, I left and I didn't turn around. I didn't go back home. I didn't do any of that.
Mhm.
So I got to the point where I probably was about 38 years old, and I knew to respect her because that's what the Bible said.
Right.
I'm a very literal person, right?
Mhm.
So you could put something in front of me and I can read it and I'll take it literal,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Um, but I had to get to a point where I had to say, God, I need you to help me with this because when
Mhm.
I see this lady, I hate her. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to hate her because that's the
Right.
lady that gave me birth.
Right.
So I had to have a conversation where I had to sit her down and I had to finally heal some wounds and
Right.
set some boundaries, right?
Right.
She was very upset in the beginning,
Mhm.
very upset because how dare you, as your mother,
Right.
tell me X, Y, and Z?
Right.
But I had to say, I love you and this is for me. Hopefully, you respect me enough to want to build a relationship with me, but
Mhm.
the relationship that we had, I can no longer be a part of. So you have to make the decision, what type of relationship do you want with that individual?
Right.
If you don't respect it, still love them,
Mhm.
still show them grace. They're probably just a little hurt because they're
Right.
not used to you saying no.
Right.
They're not used to you saying, we're not doing that today. You know, that doesn't make me feel good. Nobody wants to be told no,
Right.
but you have to realize you're way more important. And if that person loves you enough and that person is meant to be in your life, they'll be back. It may
Yeah.
take a minute,
Mhm.
but that's healing. You're healing because you
Right.
deserve to be healed. You deserve to be whole. Remember
Mhm.
that. I deserve to be whole.
Mhm.
Period.
Yes.
And that's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's not an easy task. It's not easy to do. It's not. But you have to realize how worthy you are. We
Yes.
spend so much of our lives telling people yes, 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 yes.
Mhm.
It's time to tell you yes.
Oh, I like that. It's time to tell you yes. Somebody put that in the chat or in the comments. It's time to tell you yes. And I love that because I know it's difficult, but it's necessary. If you're going to have a long term healthy relationship, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's colleagues, that boundaries are things that we're going to have to set. And yeah, we may be shaking the first time we have those conversations, and we may be fearful. And like you mentioned, it may not be received well initially. But if that person really loves you and if that person really wants a relationship with you, they will come back and you'll find a way to coexist. So I love
Exactly.
that. I love that. And let me make sure that I didn't okay, that I didn't miss. Okay, she says thank you so much.
Of course. Anytime.
Yeah, I want to make sure I didn't miss any other questions. Before we jump off, I know you have given us so much to think about, so many skills that we need to learn and implement in the loving relationships that we have with family and friends. If someone wants to reach out to you for further conversation, for coaching, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. Of course. So you can reach me on my socials. So on Instagram, it's Clear the Gray and it's GRAY. So it's Clear the Gray underscore coaching. Um, you can join my Facebook group or my Facebook page. It's Clear the Gray. I think it's Clear the Gray coaching. But he put in Clear the Gray. I should be the only one that pops up.
Okay.
Um, you can go to my website, which is clearthegray.com. You can email me, Mona at clearthegray.com. Or you can call me. You can call or text me about personal growth, self confidence. We do set boundaries. We talk about empowerment, transformation. And we also talk about healthy and happy coaching.
Okay. Oh, healthy and happy coaching. I think I like that. I like that
Yeah.
a lot. I like that a lot. Well, thank you so much, Mona, for being here on today.
Thank
You
you so
have been a joy and just a wealth of information. So y'all be sure to reach out to her. I did drop her website in the comments, so you can reach out to her, hit her up on her socials, and make sure even in the comments let her know how much you have enjoyed hearing from her on tonight so that we can encourage her. And if you can't use her services, I know you know somebody that can.
Please
So,
pass it on.
yes, yes, spread the love, share the word with everybody that you know. And again, thank you all so much for joining, and we will see you all next week. Good night.
Good night.
Into the Becoming Engaged podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps keep this podcast thriving. If you enjoy our content and wish to contribute, we have three convenient ways for you to donate. The first one is Cash App. It's quick, easy, and user friendly, and perfect for instant support. The second way is Venmo. It's a simple and secure way to send your contribution. And number three, PayPal, for those who prefer a globally recognized platform. And donating is super easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now, and it will guide you to your preferred payment method. Every contribution, no matter the size, makes a significant impact. Thank you for your generosity and for being a part of our podcast family.